In this video, I'm going to be comparing the Mad Max franchise to the Ghostbusters franchise. The reason for that is that in part one of this series, I compared the Mad Max franchise to the Superman franchise. Mad Max 1, I compared TMNT to Ghostbusters at Ghostbusters 1. So now I'm going to compare the two winners, Mad Max and Ghostbusters. When it comes to the highest score for each franchise, the original Ghostbusters movie is a 95%. Mad Max Fury Road is a 97%. The lowest score for Mad Max is still 81%, which is obviously still a really good score that's still certified fresh by 6%, whereas Ghostbusters Frozen Empire only has a 42%. When you look at average, Ghostbusters is an average of 65, whereas Mad Max is an average of 90, which is really, really good. Then we look at gap between lowest and highest score. Well, the gap's only 16% in the case of Mad Max. Pretty good. With Ghostbusters, there's a gap of 53. Mad Max has won every round so far, and yeah, in this case, I'm definitely going to choose the Mad Max franchise. It's been more consistent. I think the original Ghostbusters movie from 1984 is great. It's this interesting story about a group of scientists that come together in order to bust ghosts. It does a good job of having some horror in there because there's ghosts, so it's kind of creepy, kind of spooky, but it doesn't go to Saw levels of intensity or Scream levels of intensity. It doesn't feel as much like a horror film. It's just somewhat creepy, spooky because there's ghosts in it. I think the theme song here is really iconic. Everybody knows a Ghostbusters theme song. Visuals here, I think, hold up well. The acting is really good. It's pretty funny to see Bill Murray's deadpan reactions to everything. And I think Ghostbusters 2 is easily not as good as the original film for two key reasons. One, it comes off too much like a rehash of the first film. People talked about this before. If you look at it, it follows really all the same beats as the original film without being as good. And also, I think everybody would agree that the movie obviously would have been better if the Ghostbusters had actually been united right at the start of the movie. It's disappointing that the start of Ghostbusters 2, our four main characters are split up, divided. They're not together in action busting ghosts. It's disappointing that you have that starting point of them not being Ghostbusters anymore, and then eventually they come back around to doing that job. But the movie should have actually had them do their thing right away. And then when we look at 2016 Ghostbusters, sure, it's just a Paul Feig ghost movie. It's not all that bad. There are good things about it, but I think the problem here is that it really misses what makes Ghostbusters work. And one of the things that really made it work is that subtlety. I mentioned just a little bit ago that's funny how Bill Murray reacts in this deadpan way to almost everything. When you get to 2016 Ghostbusters, it's just more in your face. There's literally a moment in the movie where one of our girls is saying, "Get out of my friend, Ghost!" She screams that and slaps her friend in the face, and the ghost comes out of her. It's like, okay, yeah, we're missing what made the original movie work. And then when I look at Ghostbusters Afterlife, I actually really enjoy this movie. It's the most emotional of the Ghostbusters films. Sure, is it too much of a repeat of what we've seen before? You could say that, especially considering the villain is the same one from the original movie. But it does a good job of actually continuing the franchise, taking us into the future, bringing back the original Ghostbusters in a way that makes sense. It serves as a fitting and effective tribute and memorial to both Egon Spangler as well as the actor who played him, Harold Ramis, who tragically passed away before this movie came out. You can tell watching this movie it has that weight to it, that we lost one of the original four actors, and thus the people making this movie are processing that. Then you get Frozen Empire, which I think is definitely a movie that has flaws, but some people have taken it way too far. Some people are saying that, like, this movie's trash, worst movie of the decade, it's horrible, and I'm like, wait, what? Guys, we're taking this way too far. Is there too many characters in this movie? Yeah, I'd agree with that. Does it take too long to get to the actual Frozen Empire? Yeah, you feel like the script could have used another pass to iron out the kinks. So it does feel like, yeah, they shot the first draft. So the ideas here really good, but there's issues when it comes to the specific execution. To be clear, however, I really, really found it refreshing that right away in this movie, our Ghostbusters are actually together. They're united. They're actually driving around New York City in Ecto 1 busting Ghost. That was so refreshing to me. Plus, I was like, yes, finally, we're actually expanding the lore and mythology. We're actually updating the tech, and also making clear that one of our original Ghostbusters is the guy who's now bankrolling this organization. That's really interesting. And actually, this movie did remind me a lot of the Real Ghostbusters TV show, which I'm currently watching. One of the best things about Real Ghostbusters is that, well, you actually get to spend time with our original four characters when they're together, united, in action, operating out of the firehouse, driving around New York City in Ecto 1, busting Ghost. It was so great to see that in Frozen Empire. When I look at the Mad Max franchise, I think it's been pretty consistent. Sure, I think that Thunderdome doesn't have the kind of bite that I want from a Mad Max movie. It is lacking that teeth because it's only rated PG-13, not R. A lot of the Mad Max movies have an abrasiveness to them that's not present quite as much in Thunderdome. But I don't think Thunderdome is that much weaker than the other Mad Max movies. It's just, yeah, not quite as strong. I think the original movie overall is good. Yeah, it does take a while for Max's family to actually die. I mean, the inciting incident of the movie doesn't actually happen until you're like two-thirds of the way through it. Okay, that's a bit odd, but I think overall the movie still works. It does a good job of presenting this dystopian future where there's still some level of human society left, but things are clearly not going very well at all. And actually, that perfectly explains why things look so run down. The movie actually didn't have a big budget, but because of the world building, there's a good in universe reason why things look the way they do. I thought Fury Road was really entertaining. It's just a lot of fun seeing all this big, crazy action. The practical effects are great. A lot of the story is actually communicated visually, not through dialogue. That was really interesting. Like, the actress who plays Furiosa does a great job of communicating emotion non-verbally. She does a great job of just using her facial reactions or eyes to communicate things without needing to actually say them out loud. I thought this was true in Furiosa Mad Max Saga as well, which underperformed at the box office, and I get why. Inherently, Mad Max is something that's just more niche. It's not going to be for everybody. Plus, Furiosa came out 9 years after Fury Road. But I really enjoyed it. I thought it was very well done. It was interesting seeing this movie that spans decades worth of time. And I really enjoyed Mad Max Road Warrior as well. I like that Mad Max is this wandering Ronin that just finds himself in other people's stories. So overall, I would easily choose Mad Max. I think it's definitely been more consistent. That'll wrap things up for this video.